Phase Hero episode number 63 starts right now. Would you believe it? All four of us made it to a live Wednesday show on the live time at the time we're supposed to be live. Welcome to the show. I'm Brandon Davis, joined today by Jenna Anderson.
Hey, everybody. And hi to Joe March, who says that they're joining live for the first time. That's awesome.
Woo, welcome to the circus. We got Aaron Perrine.
What's going on, everybody?
We got Jamie Jirac.
Little Women's Joe March is in our comment section. That's amazing.
we have a confirmation from Danny Brown that Jamie loves Pash Heroes. Confirmed.
I'm not gonna be here next Wednesday. Don't give me a hard time.
Yeah.
You're preemptively hating Phase Hero next week?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
She has to alternate 1 week on, 1 week off.
Yeah, I can't give too much love to the program. Got to make the people want more. It's all a tactic. It's all a tactic. We have new merch. There's tank tops and hats for summer. PhaseHero.com. Check that out. There's also, you might find on the YouTube channel, you definitely will, my first ever wrestling t-shirt, the main character t-shirt. It's available now. I will be debuting that on OVW here soon. So if you want to check that out, that's cool too, because it's time to be the main character. That's kind of what Phase Hero is all about. It's doing your own thing. Today we got a lot to talk about. We're going to focus highly on Marvel and DC as we do. We got Spider-Man 4 stuff to talk about. We got Vision Quest stuff to talk about. We got a quote from David Tennant about Reed Richards to talk about. Deadpool and Wolverine, almost what-if scenarios. Madam Webb, well, we're still talking about that. Then we're going to talk about San Diego Comic-Con. Superman, Peacemaker, Chris McQuarrie's Man of Steel 2, and a DC Marvel crossover that might surprise you. But if you're on the internet, you already know. And then a little bit of Lilo and Stitch box office chatter to yap about. So that's our show today. We're gonna kick this off with some Vision Quest updates, though. Jamie, you wanna go ahead?
I just learned this news 4 minutes ago, and I'm like freaking out about it. I don't know where I've been this week, but Nia Miller, who I love from The Haunting of Bly Manor, she's so good in that show. It's like Jocasta, who is of course Ultron's wife, Ultron's little bride. But in the comics, she's made from the brainwaves of Janet Van Dyne. I feel like that's not going to happen. I need Jenna's opinion immediately.
No, they're absolutely going to change that, because it's also, original Ultron in the comics is very much Hank Pym. Like, he is essentially like Hank Pym's consciousness, and so then that's how Janet kind of fits in. It's also, Jocasta is his wife and his bride, but a lot of times not by her own volition. He also has like a long history of creating android wives who kind of are like, no, thank you, I don't really want to be your wife. So I feel like we're going to change that. I wouldn't be surprised if it's maybe like another long lost Tony Stark AI, like Friday or something, somehow becomes the model for Jocasta, or if it's just that she's created off of her own volition. But I love her as a character. She has like such a cool, weird design. So I am over the moon that she's in this show.
Aaron, you got thoughts?
I wonder how. Man, do you think she could just, her brain would be modeled on Wanda, and she just jokingly does an episode aping Elizabeth Olsen's performance? That's what I've been rooting for the whole time. Like, as cool as Jocasta is in a character in the comics, like, I thought we were getting his wife from the Tom King stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, we're not doing that. That's kind of sad.
I like this comment here. What if she is Edith from Geek-Fi, like a
yeah,
like a Edith with a body? You know, Edith from the Stark technology that Spider-Man had in Spider-Man: Homecoming. I mean, that's the sort of thing I could see them switching up and doing. I think, you know, it's also, we don't know how big of a role Jocasta is going to have in the Vision Quest series. We also know James Spader is back as Ultron, so you could see this being a situation where they actually do have a decent role, but it could also be a short thing where she ends up supplementing the Ultron role because James Spader doesn't do the whole thing or something like that. But I don't know. We'll see. Well, a lot of directions this could go. Whole lot of directions this could go. We have a lot of news to talk about today. Oh, I prefer it this way. So there's a rumor. There's a rumor right now going around, and it started from Daniel RPK. It claims that the Hulk / Bruce Banner is going to appear in Spider-Man Brand New Day. Mark Ruffalo is going to bring the Hulk / maybe or Bruce Banner to Spider-Man Brand New Day. It's made the rounds of social media. I have no idea if it's true. I haven't even tried to find out if I'm honest. But I would believe this because Daniel RPK is correct often enough that I'll take his word for it. He's not always right, but he's gotten enough things right. It's like, that might happen. And I could also see it because they seemingly just refuse to let Spider-Man have a movie without a major MCU character as a supporting character. We had Iron Man and Spider-Man Homecoming, which I was cool with. Spider-Man Far From Home had Nick Fury in a big way. Was there any other major Avenger or anything like that in Far From Home? I'd say that was the most independent he was in terms of Avengers characters. And then No Way Home obviously had Doctor Strange playing a pretty big role and other Spider-Mans. I could see Hulk showing up there. And I saw a theory that like maybe, what was it, Mr. Negative, like imbalances things. And I think Jenna, you texted me this, right?
I literally texted that to you because as the rumor was going around, I was like, after years of Brandon wanting Savage Hulk and not Smart Hulk anymore, he could maybe get his wish of like maybe Mr. Negative messes up something, and then that leads us to have Savage Hulk back again. I've also seen people share the comic panel of when Peter loses his identity in the comics the first time. He meets Hulk, and Hulk is like, "Hi, Peter," and he's like, "How do you know my identity?" And he's like, "Banner forgot, Hulk didn't." And so it's like that would be a cool kind of arc to see as well if we kind of deal with the identity wipe in a similar sort of way.
I'll do anything to get Savage Hulk back and get rid of Smart Hulk, especially going into 2 Avengers movies. I don't want some soft, nerfed Hulk running around afraid to fight Doom, or just like, hey guys, we should think about it. Just let him go be scary, man. That shot of the Avengers when he's chasing Black Widow through the helicarrier is like actually terrifying. And I feel like Smart Hulk was fun for a movie, but I'm over it. And it's well documented, my feelings on that.
I mean, it's cool to have Avengers. I think when you're doing all this like red meat strategy, I think all of this is very interesting, along with the stuff with some of the rumblings around the Robert Iger of it all, friend of the show, mentioning that he wants as many of these characters in these things as possible to ensure that the box office is a certain level. It makes sense to put the Hulk and Spider-Man in a movie together, especially if the other rumors about villains are true as well. There's more than enough bad guy hitting to go around.
Poor Hulk is never getting his own movie. Like,
No.
I should say Mark Ruffalo. Poor Mark Ruffalo, because Hulk's got his own movie. I get where you're coming from, BD. I like Smart Hulk, because it's nice to see how he's grown. But I also feel like, I want to see the guy smash things. And there are so many ways to do it without like kind of regressing his progress as a character, like have a villain, whatever, all those things. I'd be so into, I like punchy, and nobody punches harder than Hulk, so I'm ready.
I think also if you look at the other decisions they've made here, the delaying of a big Hulk thing on camera besides Jen, it's gonna hit like drugs if there's a Secret Wars fight where it's like Ruffalo as like the version of the Hulk for the Avengers, a Mr. Fix-It, a Smart Hulk, and like one more, and Scar like fighting each other. Audience gonna be losing their minds and be like, why isn't this just the movie itself? And that is what we like to call backdoor piloting something, so that they can show it to you later in Comic-Con, like on the big screen, and everybody freak out. So I think there's a little bit of method to the madness there as well.
I think they're going to find a way to surprise us with Scar, because Scar is seemingly universally not something people are looking forward to after that one haircut in She-Hulk. And just the fact that She-Hulk is commonly hated on. I know She-Hulk is overhated in all of our opinion, but I think that they'll find a way to surprise us. And there's one thing the Russos do well, I think, and that Marcus and McFeely do well, is they take things that maybe weren't super popular before or even known of yet, and they make them, they find surprising ways to insert them into the story. So I'm excited to see She-Hulk again. I hope that we get a Savage Hulk, and then Scar's return is like, oh wow, Scar's actually a cool character at some point, but it's got to start with a scary Hulk, not just a guy who's handing out tacos. That's my opinion. McCoy Culture, I want to go back a minute here. McCoy Culture with the $4.99. Thank you so much. Loving the Queen Studios hat. I just got their Iron Man and Captain America half-scale statues, and they're beautiful. Oh, my friend, I'm jealous. I don't have any Queen Studios collectibles or merch other than this hat. I'm fully just decked out in PR mailers right now. I got this in the mail. I'm wearing a Team Epiphany sweater. Team Epiphany is a marketing company that has helped me with brand partnerships. And I think their team is awesome. Not just because they make me money, because they're fun to work with and communicate with. But all right, hold on. We got to move on to some Fantastic Four stuff here. They've been dropping promos during the NBA playoffs, which let me pull up this while we can discuss while it plays here. Here we go. Jenna, I'm just going to let you. This is the teaser. This isn't the NBA promo, but you have a bone to pick.
I love these teasers with every fiber of my being. Like, they put one out on Saturday and they put one out on Monday, and it is such a nice snapshot of their dynamics. Like, we see Sue and Johnny's sibling dynamic. We see Reed being a dork. They use like the same 3 shots of Ben cooking dinner with her because he's too expensive to really CGI for an advertisement. But they are just so delightful. They're so fun. They put these out and kind of like drew the FF fandom to watch the game because they were like, there's going to be something tied to the game. I watched the game on Saturday. They got to halftime, and then they basically were like, we're going to show something at game 4. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Sure. I'm going to tune back into game 4 on Monday. The entire fandom watches the entire game into the 4th quarter because, of course, they have to play up the 4 as much as possible. And it was just the exact same trailer that we already have with one new shot of footage, even though they kept billing it as an exclusive look. I love the fact that audience got to probably see this movie for the first time in the footage that they showed during the 4th quarter. But like, don't bill it as an exclusive if it's not really an exclusive, especially when you had this like brand new footage of all of them together for these little like advertisements ahead of time. Just do something. I wasn't expecting a full trailer. I don't even need a full trailer this soon, but like, give us a little something if you're going to bill it as an exclusive.
How many people do you think sat through basketball for the first time in their lives just to see that?
I like looking at my Twitter feed of like FF people I follow. There were a lot of people watching basketball. I have not watched this much basketball since like the Dallas Mavericks won the championship when I was in high school. And like, I don't even care about any of the teams that were playing. I just kind of had it on in the background, like waiting for Fantastic Four stuff. And then it was one new shot of the spaceship and then like Herbie flying up to go do maintenance on it, which was like, that's cool. But that was worth my entire Monday night being devoted to waiting for an exclusive first look.
BD goes, who hasn't ever watched a baseball game? BD, if it doesn't involve the Looney Tunes and the Monstars, I certainly haven't. So
sometimes I forget LA is just such a different world.
Jamie, you own the Space Jam soundtrack on vinyl. What
I
the
do
heck?
love that. I do. I love that movie. It doesn't mean I have to love basketball.
This shot is I did accidentally pull up the teasers from the 30-second teasers that were commercials, not the full teaser that Jen just described, which I did watch. I didn't sit through the basketball game to watch it. I saw it online slightly later. But I was just like, there was not really much new in there. But this is a new shot from the teaser, the Fantastic Four, when they're basically presented like the Beatles.
Yeah.
But they're on, I believe this is in the talk show. The curtains open, they're there. It seems like, unless this was shot just for this NBA promo, I think this was shot for the movie, and then this insert of game time on their wrist notification, their watches, whatever those are that they're wearing. This is cool to see for the first time. I like how it's got the 4 logo. Obviously, it's not going to say game time in the movie. I have 2 questions about this, though. A, Jenna, is there any precedent for what they're wearing? And B, what do we think the alert is that they're going to get that's going to disrupt them being on the talk show?
Because we see footage in like the 2 trailers of Johnny flaming up outside of the Ted Gilbert marquee. So I feel like when they get into the Fantastic Car, it seems like all of those scenes are connected in some way. I don't know what necessarily they're fighting. It might be something before Surfer and Galactus because it's set during the day. As far as like the communicators go, they always kind of play fast and loose with it. Like sometimes they have actual communicators, sometimes they just have earpieces. It's kind of just like whatever the writer really wants to do. But I have been obsessed with them using these in this movie. I think that is just such a cool little like piece of technology. I want to buy one as quickly as humanly possible.
It's like advanced beepers that they wear on their wrist for that retro futuristic feel. I think it's cool. I wonder if this like sort of dividing of the screen will in any way at any point be a part of the way that things are presented on screen. I don't think so. I think this is just for the commercial. But it would be interesting because the last time I could think of a comic book movie really doing something like this is like Ang Lee's Hulk back in like 2003. But yeah, it'll be interesting. Anybody else got thoughts? Does the kitty have thoughts?
Papagino, #1 basketball fan. So
we got to shout out Galaghost. Hello, folks. Just sending love and support to you all. Pump up the jam. Pump up the. It's a basketball thing, Jamie. Last time I saw NBA was for the teaser of Black Panther. LOL. Cheers. Oh wow. So yeah, people are just tuning in.
That's my friend Andres who edited my first YouTube video. So
Hey!
Hell yeah.
shout out Andres.
Everybody, Jamie has a YouTube
My friends don't like
channel
sports.
now. All right, let's get the screen off here. What's our next topic? What do we got?
It's still FF related. I can read it just to continue going. So
Go for
David Tennant was at a Comic-Con. He was at MCM Comic-Con, and he revealed that he wanted to play Reed Richards at one point. And he said, quote, "Unfortunately, it looks like they've gone in a different direction. Although if it has to be somebody else, I'm very happy for it to be Pedro Pascal." Like, it's fascinating knowing that this was a role he had his eye on. Obviously, he's so good in Jessica Jones. I almost don't want to see him in another MCU kind of context. But it's definitely interesting to know that he wanted to play the character, and I'm glad he addressed Pedro's casting very well. What do y'all think?
I think he has the right look for sure. I could totally see it, but yeah, it's like you're Kilgrave, man. There's just it's like one of the best comic book villain performances of all time. So that's hard to. I feel like you can go from hero to a villain performance, but going from a villain to a hero performance, I think is a harder transition in the same franchise.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, man. I think we've already casted these characters. I just can't. I'm not going to relitigate this every 3 months or whatever. You know what I mean? All this did, and God bless David Tennant. He doesn't even know he's doing it, but it's just going to make people go, "Oh man, could you imagine?" Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I can. It's called Go Watch Doctor Who. It's called Go Watch Doctor Who. There's 3 seasons with him as the Doctor?
Yep.
Yeah. Go do that. And a couple Christmas specials, including one that came out last year.
Yeah.
Remember when we were debating who was going to play the Fantastic Four? Forever.
That was 3 years of our lives.
Forever. I like David Tennant. I'm still not fully convinced Pedro was the best choice as a person who loves Pedro and is fully open to being bought in. I'm not saying he's the wrong choice. I just don't have that sort of enamored feeling like I get with a lot of Serafin's choices, but I don't think Serafin misses. So I think when we see the movie is when I'm going to get to fully embrace that. The teasers have not yet put me on the Pedro train, and that is as somebody who genuinely is just a fan of Pedro, the actor and the person. So we'll see. David
I will
Tennant,
say the NBA videos definitely sold his Reed energy. Him talking about stats and kind of bickering with Johnny and stuff like that. It definitely feels like Reed. But it's also kind of a thing of the fandom almost has 2 different versions of Reed. They view that Reed, and then there are people who just view him as the maker and kind of the John Krasinski idolized version of it. So it'll be interesting once the movie comes out, where people ultimately land on him. But I'm optimistic.
I'm still believe John Krasinski was a fantastic casting choice for Reed Richards. I know that was so popular that now it's the most hated thing ever, just like everything that was ever once popular on the internet. But I don't know.
Listen,
I think it was cool.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. Pedro plus Vanessa equals hot. And that's what I want for my first family.
Yeah.
Should I segue into the next thing?
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds almost killed off Deadpool and Deadpool Wolverine. He's got some quotes about it. He talked to the Box Office podcast. He said studios, of course, are it'd be fun to play around with this guy in the future. Sure, but it's comic book. Okay. He also reveals he pitched an R-rated Star Wars movie. So I feel like we should talk about the Deadpool thing though first. I feel like there's a funny way to do that where it's I'm trying to be like Logan, so I'm gonna die. I'm sure that's what the energy would have been like, but I don't think it was necessary. Does anyone have any opinions on this?
I could see it, yeah, as some big heroic sacrifice of it's the end of the trilogy. We're folding into the MCU. Who knows what happens from here? But yeah, it's he, especially as a character, death never sticks with him for very long. There would have been a way to bring him back down the line anyway.
I get this weird vibe that Ryan just doesn't care if he plays this character anymore.
Yeah.
I really just think he doesn't care if he ever plays Deadpool again. I don't think he even really cared if he did Deadpool and Wolverine. I just think I think once Hugh came on, I think that was the thing that lit the fire for him. I think he really loves working with Sean and Hugh, but I get the vibe that the Marvel machine he's had enough of it at this point. That's the vibe I get. And like, hey man, dude, that's our loss because I think he's phenomenal as Deadpool if that's the case. But I do just get that vibe. Like, why else would he try to kill him off?
That's true. Emotions.
I just, what if they shot it and that's what Thor was crying about?
That is true.
And they just left it in there. Like, that's what you missed out on. Have fun with that. But yeah, he is one of the weirder interviews, Brent. I will give you that. He gives off mad, like, you think he's bad now. He gets to be Alfred Molina's age. Look out. He's gonna say whatever he wants in front of a microphone in a couple of years. It feels like.
And I don't say that to be like he resents the character or he like wants to get away from it. I just think he's done what he wanted to do with it. And until you give him an idea, he's kind of like, well, whatever. I just think that's the kind of guy Ryan is. I think he's just that dude has like 74 businesses. he made the masterpiece that is The Proposal. So you're not going to get better than that in terms of filmmaking. And I don't know. It's just the vibe I get. And I don't say that as like a negative. I'm not, whatever. I just think he's okay if he never plays Deadpool again. And I think at this stage, at least he believes he's okay with that. That's the vibe I get. I didn't ask Ryan that. I don't know anybody who's saying that. That's just my read on somebody who wanted to kill off their own character. But there's another thing about Ryan here.
Yeah, this R-rated Star Wars thing. He said it doesn't have to be over A+ characters. There's a wide range of characters you could use, and I don't mean R-rated to be vulgar. R-rated as a Trojan horse of emotion. I really like that thing, Trojan horse of emotion. As maybe the biggest Star Wars fan here. I don't know if that's the fair thing to say, but I'm just gonna drop that title for myself right now. I don't know how I feel about this. It's probably never happening, but now that his boy Sean is up in Star Wars, it's hard to say. Star Wars to me will always be kind of for kids in a way, but like, why not? They're expanding so much. They're doing so many things. Andor's obviously not for kids. That's almost R-rated in terms of Trojan horse of emotion. You can do that without being rated R, obviously. Yeah, I feel like that's not going to happen. So like, who cares? Does anyone care?
I mean, I agree with you. The Trojan horse line kind of like became a meme on Twitter because people were finding like any and all R-rated movies and basically trying to make the same argument for it. But I do agree, like it is kind of like a beautiful way of putting it. And I feel like he's going to cameo in Sean's movie in one way or another. Like this exact pitch might not necessarily get off of the ground. And like, it seems like Star Wars has had a million different pitches over the past couple of years, but I would be shocked if he isn't like a random fighter pilot or voicing an alien or something in Sean's movie.
I mean, until proven, it's hard for me to say. I can't imagine a Deadpool and Wolverine tone in a Star Wars world. It doesn't necessarily work for me in Star Wars. Andor is my favorite thing I think Star Wars has ever done. And that was pushing R rating. Like it wasn't, but it was leaning in that direction more than anything else Star Wars has ever done. So there's a way to do it. But that said, as somebody who does enjoy Ryan's tone, I love Free Guy. Like, I'm not even gonna lie about it. I even thought the Adam Project was very good. I know that's a hot take sometimes to certain people, to Jamie clearly, but that in Star Wars is hard for me to imagine. But Sean Levy doing Ryan Gosling's movie, I can't imagine that's not a comedy of some sort. So Star Wars. I think franchises are starting to diversify their tones, which personally I think is a mistake. I think some franchises people like franchises people like a thing about a franchise and then they try to make that franchise a whole bunch of other things. And the people who like the one thing end up being really loud about how they don't like this new thing. And the people who do like the new thing end up being really loud about how much they do like the new thing. And everybody ends up arguing all the time. Maybe just start a new franchise at that point, but that's a whole different conversation. I didn't mean to go that deep with it. My bad.
Take a breath, BD.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm just tired of people yelling.
Yep. That was a BD rant, I think. I think we can classify that, maybe.
Yeah.
I need to work on my animation. Hugh Jackman asked if he was in Avengers Doomsday on The View and said, I can't say much. Okay, I won't do it. I can't say much. I really have nothing to add. And if I did, I would find a really cool way to not say it. But I actually have nothing to add. So I mean, we all
save somebody for Secret Wars.
He is absolutely being saved for Secret Wars. I also wouldn't be surprised if he just like magically shows up with all of the Fox cast and we get some sort of last hurrah with all of them. But also he's busy. He's spending his time jump roping. If you haven't watched the video of him nailing his jump roping routine from his like one-man show, it is delightful seeing the reaction on his face once he gets the in-sync jump rope routine down. So he's content, and I know they'll call him back into the blue and yellow costume sooner than later.
He's in the movie, oh please. He's in Doomsday. Come on, we all know it. You're not going to round up all the X-Men and not have the one people care most about. Cut the check. All right, Aaron. Well,
you're so funny because it's just like Aaron. Brandon could not be bothered. We bring up the words Madam Webb in a production meeting, and he just left the chat for people who are listening auditorially. But
he texted the group chat and was like, "I'm going to be sick tomorrow if we have to talk about Madam Webb at all."
Work.
Yeah, and I told him
a good bit
like,
of
I just like if you leave, this just becomes a Madam Web love fest. So we need him here.
We need his counter opinion. Yeah, he is still here.
Got him win.
Brandon, as I told you in my text, this gives you an opportunity to complain about something Sony didn't do, looking at these popcorn buckets that Aaron is going to tee up.
Oh man. So we got canceled Madam Web popcorn buckets. That's right. It's me and Jenna's favorite corner, rap cragoons and things of that nature that spoil the plots of movies or funny things about them. The Madam Web popcorn bucket used to like have like, or at least it was supposed to have a bunch of like MCU references in there. You got like
what?
Strange and Wong get mentioned in here.
There's like a Thanos cult.
There's like a Thanos comment in here in these Daily Bugle pages we're showing online. Like, you get to describe this with people who are like, running on a treadmill, who I'm sure have tripped and fallen. I apologize. We're not paying your medical bills. It's very expensive. Yeah. So Daniel Rickman said that Tom Holland was supposed to appear at the start of Madam Web to show like, hey, this is about this Peter, right? It was going to show the Spider-Woman saving a baby version of Peter Parker, right? But then Marvel was like, no. You're not getting, no. You're not bringing Tom Holland Spider-Man anywhere near this. Figure it out. So S.J. Clarkson, who I enjoy, who we interviewed in a different universe. Girl, I apologize. She was out here dodging raindrops trying to explain what went on with this movie. And the more that we figure out, it's like, wow, yeah, you set up to fail. Brandon making a bunch of funny faces.
The gears are turning in Brandon's head as he is looking at these popcorn buckets.
This says Stark Industries underpaid worker scandal as a Daily Bugle headline on this popcorn bucket. What was going on with this movie at some point? Was there ever a good version of Madam Web? Like, was there at some point maybe a good version of Madam Web that existed that we didn't see? I mean, I don't think so. But what is this popcorn? This little cup, this little Madam Web cup. God, could you imagine? Could you imagine spending $40 on this shit and then going to see that movie when you could have bought Phase Hero merch? Like, oh my God.
Nice save.
I want to shout out Tiptoe Cloud for saying it looks like a trash can, because like I happen to right next to me have the best popcorn bucket that's ever existed. And like, look at all the like care that went into this. This is worth I mean, I got it for free, but whatever this cost, I feel like it was worth it. That is like not a very inspired bucket. That's just a piece of metal.
It feels like a relic of like pre-COVID popcorn buckets, which like I have a whole bunch, like I have a whole collection of, because I would get them for every single movie when I was in like college and stuff. But yeah, like popcorn bucket technology has evolved to such a point, like it definitely feels behind the times in a way, in the same way that Madam Web feels like a lost 2000s movie.
It looks like the inside of a trash can. I said it.
Stamina, you're right, by the way, in the chat. There is Drax in a suit in one of the pictures on the bucket as well.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's there.
Are you kidding me? That Drax opening up about, what does that say? Opening up about men's emotional well-being.
I I almost wonder if like these are not a reflection of the movie at all and are just like whoever was in the graphics department for like just making the consumer products just had way too much fun.
Yeah.
And then someone was like, no, this is not in the MCU. Please take all of this away. We just have to
No.
kill the popcorn bucket. And then somehow a couple got printed. I don't know.
This is fake. I don't believe for a second that this is actually real or came close to getting released. I think this is maybe a concept that got put on a shelf, as you're seeing here. What is this? $50? It's AMC.
This was an AMC employee posted this on Reddit and was like, these were in our back room of like merchandise that we were supposed to sell, and then we pulled these and we weren't supposed to sell them. So if this is fake and they like made this themselves, that is an impressive length to go to. But I don't know. I feel like either way, it might have maybe just gotten like pulled and wasn't able to actually be released.
I think this is BS. This Reddit post says, since I'm no longer with the corporation that was supposed to sell these and the movie bombed so hard nobody liked it, I actually do. Here's what they would have looked like. And it's a subreddit called Popcorn Buckets. r/popcorn buckets. It was happening to me to take one of everything. We kept a display to hype staff, and generally I unboxed one of everything the day we got it delivered, sometimes months in advance. Some stuff we got day of. T-Swift we got a week late. Anyway, these were our display bucket and cup, but we had to send them all back. So this was the display bucket and cup. They never got the ones they were actually going to sell, is what it sounds like. Wow. Those actually look really nice, is the top comment. There's nice people on the internet. In this case, it's Carol Danvers and Thanos references are no, Sony doesn't have the rights, and no way did Disney want them. See, like that's where my mind goes. Good comment, Joe Baka Wookie 4 days ago on Reddit. Wow, that's pretty mad. Oh, wait, it didn't pull up the Reddit thread. I clicked the link.
We've just been listening to you reading it.
Whether or not this is real, it's very enjoyable to talk about.
Yeah, it is hilarious.
Time of my life.
Oh, God. Oh, what a time to be alive. What a time. Well, is Marvel Studios going to go to San Diego Comic-Con? Our next topic is that DC Studios is going. First, while we're on the Marvel topic, do we think Marvel Studios will go to San Diego Comic-Con? Personally, I won't be shocked if there is not a Hall H presentation from Marvel Studios at San Diego Comic-Con 2025. I think Marvel Animation / Marvel TV will do Ballroom 20. Brad, if you're watching, throw me in. I'm ready to host it. I had so much fun at Marvel Animation. Please, I beg, I want that opportunity. I've still to this day never hosted a San Diego Comic-Con panel. The convention hates me. Confirmed. But Marvel Studios has Spider-Man Brand New Day is a Sony movie. So I don't know that they would promote it there. And then Avengers Doomsday doesn't come until December of 2026. So there will be a whole other San Diego Comic-Con between now and then.
Isn't this Fantastic Four weekend, though? Won't they roll out the 4 of them?
That was what I was about to say. I argued this on Twitter. I will argue this until the end of time. I would be shocked if they don't screen Fantastic Four the same way that they screened Deadpool last year. I feel like it'll be a big Fantastic Four weekend celebrating it. Whatever, like anything else that they might do in Hall H would be extra, but I feel like they're not going to pass up the opportunity to bring that movie to Comic-Con.
I think that is, I think and expect that, honestly. I fully believe Thursday night they'll do a Fantastic Four First Steps panel and screening, and the whole cast will assemble, and it'll be an awesome moment. That said, what I meant, I should have clarified because I made the same mistake on Twitter, and Jenna corrected me just the same way there. Is that Saturday main event panel basically that Marvel gets every year that they go to Comic-Con. Saturday night, everybody knows. You stop what you're doing, don't have a panel at the same time. Everybody, 7,000 people are going to file into Hall H, get on the internet, all that, to preview the slate. Do we think Marvel is going to have basically a slate preview panel at San Diego Comic-Con? I could see it going either way, honestly, depending on what they want to do, because they'll have footage for Doomsday they could show, and maybe they have another movie to announce since they have so much time between now and then. That said, I could also see them not going.
I think there are more cast members for Doomsday to announce, and I think, like you said, they will have ample amount of time to have footage together. Like when they had the FF teaser last year and they had only shot that a week before, basically, like they will have something from Doomsday, even if the movie is now a year and a half away. I think they won't mess up the opportunity to like announce some more names, bring the people out, kind of have that captive audience. Because as much as the chairs were successful, they can't replicate the chair experience for the second round of castings. They need to find another way to get people's attention.
If I had a dream, in terms of this Marvel
All right, Kelsey
casting
Grammer.
thing, no. I don't need to see Kelsey Grammer on a Hall H stage. No, the fact that those chairs had.
Amy, I think that went over your
that
head.
was not
I get it. Oh my god. That
If
was
y'all don't
good.
remember our episode a couple weeks ago.
Oh. Oh, that was good. Speaking of Kelsey Grammer, no, I want to see the Marvels announced because only 5 women were on those chairs. 5.
Yeah.
And the women I want to see are the Marvels. That according to the chairs, the star of the Marvels was Mel K himself.
MLJ over here.
Oh my god. You got me. You got me.
When Aaron catches, like, oh my god, we're all losing it.
I could see them announcing, Brie Larson, Iman Vellani, and Tiana Paris at San Diego Comic-Con. Also because that's a safe space, basically.
Yeah.
You're not going to have the vitriol that you're going to have in comment sections. You're going to have people there who are excited to see them. Those are the biggest, most genuine Marvel fans in the world. And there might be a few that don't like Captain Marvel, whatever. There might be somebody that doesn't like Iron Man. I'm sure there's plenty of people who don't like Iron Man. It's cool not to like Iron Man these days. But I think that bringing them out on that stage gives them a special treatment, gives them a moment to be celebrated in a way that I think they deserve. So I think that would be cool too. But I also worry that you run the risk of overshadowing them if that is the same place that you announce Hugh Jackman is in Doomsday and or Secret Wars.
But I mean, by that argument, like the chairs, certain chairs overshadowed other chairs. Like you can kind of make that argument with the initial round of casting. So I feel like that just kind of comes with the territory if we're doing a second batch of casting. But I feel like that is the place to do it more so than anywhere else. Like we don't have a D23 this year. Like that is kind of the opportunity to do it before the movie basically wraps production.
All right. So yay or nay, do you think Marvel Studios has a sort of slate panel on Saturday at San Diego Comic-Con? I'll honestly, I don't know. I could go either way.
I'm going to say yay.
Yay feels right to me. My God.
Yeah.
Can't let Gap determine the narrative. You need to set it yourself, or else you're opening yourself up. You let James Gunn roll out there with Superman, and Superman looks good, and you just
Superman's
don't do
already in
anything
theaters.
The animation panel. Ugh.
I'll say yay because I just had the realization that they actually have all the actors under contract production at this point because Doomsday is filming. Oh, did I glitch?
You did. He's saying too much. Feige blipped him.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know how much of that got out there, but I was going to say, you know what, now that I've had this thought just come to my mind for the first time, I'll say yay, because they have the actors under contract and in production, so they can actually say, hey, we got to send you from London to San Diego real quick. Yeah. And that is not an easy feat to round up that many actors with their schedules, but I just don't know. I could see it going either way. My internet's glitching. I gotta figure that out. All right, we're going to switch over to DC. DC is going to San Diego Comic-Con. And Peacemaker is leading the charge. So I have no idea if that's Hall H, Ballroom 20 quite yet. I imagine it'll be Hall H.
I feel like the fandom is at this point, and just the DC studios of it all, like they can definitely have a Hall H panel. Like that would totally make sense. But because otherwise, if it's Ballroom 20, like that is going to get filled up so quickly. Like that would be insane. But yeah, so they're doing a panel for season 2, which comes out the following month, and they're going to show the opening credits for season 2, like the little dance sequence. This was all in an interview from Entertainment Weekly, where James Gunn also teased that Eagly is going to try to dance in the season 2 opening credits. So that'll be delightful to see. But yeah, so they're going to San Diego with the show, which is exciting to me. I think that is a very smart decision, given the fact that Superman will have just come out. They could easily have done a full-fledged DC Studios panel and announced, like, off of the confidence of Superman, here are a million other updates and like projects and stuff. But they can announce that stuff on their own time. James can just tweet stuff, and it can already break the internet. So they know they don't necessarily need San Diego to break that kind of news. And I think that they are definitely playing it in a smart way.
Are we getting Supergirl? Because I feel like right after Superman, Supergirl stuff would make sense, right?
I they maybe could bring something as like a surprise, because like they also last year, even like the first Creature Commandos trailer just broke out like a DC publishing panel. So like they're not like they definitely have precedent for just like throwing surprises in there in places that people don't expect. I also could see it being like when Creature Commandos was at New York Comic-Con last year, and basically they ended the panel with James giving a bunch of mini updates on every project that was like in development and production and stuff like that. So like we could still get context for like Supergirl, Lanterns, all of that stuff while the focus is still on Peacemaker.
Yeah, I definitely think they should bring Supergirl. It's 11 months before the movie. It's the last San Diego Comic-Con before the movie. The movie comes out June 26, 2026. It's done filming, right? It's wrapped. They could show it. They could, give Millie the onstage welcome. She will have just debuted in Superman a few weeks before. I would love it if they do that. I also, I'm a big Peacemaker fan, so I'm satisfied with Peacemaker, but obviously it's never enough for Brandon. I would love to see, I love to see Supergirl, Lanterns, and everything else they're working on at some point. It's just a question. And I don't think James Gunn is one to cater to that expectation, that San Diego Comic-Con expectation.
Yeah.
James marches to the beat of his own drum from everything I've ever seen from this guy. I respect it works for him. So I could see it going either way as well. I'm very indecisive today. I'm choosing not to choose.
And then in the EW interview, James also kind of spoke about DCU cameos. And after season 1 of Peacemaker and the big cameo that's at the end of it, he's kind of a little more transparent about season 2. He says there will be, quote, a bunch of other characters from other parts of the DCU and from Superman. There might even be one really, really, really big cameo near the end of the show. So we can assume what that probably is. It would be very funny if it is not the character we're all thinking of. And
Who are you thinking of?
Superman.
Why would he be a Peacemaker?
Why not? Is the question. Like it's a new universe, it's a new kind of horizon. Like there are a multitude of story reasons why the two of them could cross paths. Like they could easily find a way to make that work. But it would be funny, like that is kind of what everyone's inferring, but it would be really funny if it also is just a completely unrelated character.
Harley Quinn.
Oh.
They're friends. They had,
This is the guy who hyped up the Guardians of the Galaxy credit scene and called it the best thing ever. And I was like, yo, Iron Man's going to go to space. Oh, my God. And it was Howard the Duck. So I'm going to wait on my expecting to see Superman and Peacemaker hopes and dreams. But we'll see. We'll see.
And then also from the EW interview, they revealed details about Michael Rooker's character, who we see in the trailer, and everyone's theories were wrong. My own theory that I had was completely wrong. It is a seemingly original character who is named Red Saint Wild, and he is, quote, the world's foremost eagle hunter who is on a mission to kill Eagly. We thought Eagly was probably the most popular character from season 1, and so in season 2, he has his own story with his nemesis, played by none other than the despicable Michael Rooker. So we get Eagly having his own villain.
I love it.
I think James Gunn just writes roles for Michael Rooker.
Yes.
I think he loves that guy. I think Rooker's talented enough to be worthwhile. But I swear I think Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 was written for Michael Rooker to get a showcase in a way his career hasn't necessarily allowed him to, at least not in a very long time. And now I think he loves working with Rooker. And I swear he's coming up with roles and stories and stuff that often end up having worthwhile payoffs just so that Rooker can continue working with him and getting these cool parts.
It almost feels like he's trolling Rooker because he's like, what a bastard. You're an eagle hunter? Of all things, you're going to hunt eagles?
Well, Rooker plays like the foulest characters quite often.
He does. But I just feel like there's like something extra about like, oh, I know everyone loves Eagly on my show, so I'm going to stick you on him. I think that's a little bit of trolling your friend. But Rooker is amazing, and he's so good, especially in Gunn's projects. And also, I just want to shout out Red Saint Wild. It's a great name. Top tier villain name.
It's so good. I have to say, to your point about him playing bad guys, he is on the last season of Righteous Gemstones, and he is so good. He is a horrible, horrible person, and it's so great to see. So I'm excited to continue that of him just being a horrible character on TV this year.
I hope y'all peeped that Brandon did. He got one in there. The foulest people. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
100%. I think I first met this guy as Merle Dixon.
Mm-hmm.
Remember those early Merle days? Oh my God. Talk about foul. All right, what else we got? We got Jamie. Oh, actually.
Yeah, Superman. We have to talk about Superman first, because the chat has been up in arms over the runtime, and maybe there not being a runtime. So take it away.
So the Superman runtime was reported as 2 hours and 2 minutes or 2 hours and twice by somebody. And James Gunn has since said that's not true.
Yeah.
So basically, long story short, we don't know the Superman runtime still. This is what it was. DC Film News right here on Twitter. Let's pull it up. James Gunn confirms Superman runtime is not 2 hours and 2 minutes. That's not correct. It's almost totally locked, meaning we're just finishing a couple VFX shots over the weekend, but that's not the running time. And this is with the screenshot of the post from, I guess, Threads. And and he confirmed it is not 2 hours and 2 minutes quite recently. So
I think it'll be longer.
also, shout out DC Film News. DC Film News is a fantastic Twitter account for DC Film News and makes great graphics like these ones. So highly recommend following them on Twitter and Instagram. I get a lot of updates from that account. But yeah, any thoughts, any cares?
The movie's as long as it needs to be. I'll trust the process. Like the Guardians movies are 2 hours long. It was a literal point of contention. That's the reason why the theatrical Justice League cut is 2 hours long, apparently, is because they were like, we want it to be as long as Guardians of the Galaxy. So James Gunn will make his movies as long as they need to be. I just know it'll be satisfying regardless.
My thing is, like, I keep complaining about the Final Reckoning runtime because the first hour is a waste of time. Like, the first hour is nonsense. But like, if the first hour would have been awesome, who cares if the movie's 3 hours? It can be 5 hours. I'm ready. If you're good, you got me. So that's what I feel about that.
I mean, why we do the same 5 arguments, baby? It's $200 dates. It's what are you bringing to the table? That's what we do. Pop the balloon. That's what these runtime things are. Has James Gunn given us any reason to like distrust him? And I think as the most critical person of the man on the panel, I'm saying that to you. Like, there's no reason to be like, oh my God, it's gonna be too long or it's too short or whatever. Just figure it out. You're not Florence Pugh. You're in no position to judge size. Calm down. Enjoy what's going on.
Got to give a shout out here to Joe Marsh. Thank you so much for the 1999. Thanks for bringing the joy here. Please do a mini live tour. Least cringy Superman promo tour option, puppy interview, or cast games.
Oh, we're getting puppy interview. Absolutely. They'll do the BuzzFeed puppy interview.
I think that's definitely going to happen. There will be cast games because every publicity tour asks for games and pitches, and then most of them are just, well, I had to play a game with you guys. Hopefully it's fun. But sometimes that results in some really good gold with the cast that gets to bring out stuff that isn't just similar questions being asked in different ways over and over again. But thank you so much for the 1999. If we could do a live tour on Phase Hero, believe me, we would. Believe me, we would. We were figuring that out. We IMAX was a first big step. We'll see what's next. All right, let's see here. This is Jamie.
Yeah. Well, speaking of McHugh, old Chris McQuarrie, he talked to the Happy Sad Confused podcast and said that he pitched a Man of Steel sequel that involved Green Lantern. He said, I suddenly realized how they had amazing similarities, which also allowed for amazing conflict and an amazing universe expanding resolution. While I'm currently, annoyed with McQuarrie about certain things about Final Reckoning, that man directed one of the greatest action films of all time. If the man who made Mission Impossible Fallout wants to make any superhero movie, I will be seated front row as soon as possible. So I don't think it's a secret that I don't like Man of Steel. So if anyone could come in and save it with a sequel, I would have enjoyed this. Does anyone else feel this way?
I remember the days when this was very, very heavily rumored. Like, this was obviously pre-DCU, even pre a lot of the projects we got towards the end of the DCEU. And it was like right off of Fallout being such a success that I was like, hell yeah. Like, he brought so much out of Henry Cavill. Like, that performance was so much fun to watch. I would have watched that in a heartbeat.
This is a clip from 2022. No, it's actually way older than that. This is a clip from way before that where I asked McQuarrie about
baby.
Yeah, look at this little baby here. So this is definitely something that has been tossed around, and he's had ideas for it for a long time. I have the clip from Happy Sad Confused, which I highly recommend listening to that podcast in the first place. This is everything he had to say about it, and then I want to judge on whether or not we think this would have been a good movie.
The first 5 minutes of my Superman movie, which was imagine you remember Pixar's Up,
Sure.
a sequence with no dialogue that covered that
Length of time.
character's.
Yeah.
Okay. The first 5 minutes of the movie was a setup after which you knew exactly what made Superman tick,
Yeah.
and exactly what Superman was most afraid of, and why Superman made the choices that he made. And it would have been epic. It would have been epic. In 5 minutes, the scale of the movie would have been absolutely extraordinary. And the other thing, and I hope that anybody who watches this movie that enjoys the end of this movie walking away, that's the feeling I would want you to walk away from, because that's really what Superman is about. It's about hope, and it's about it being inspiring, and it's and the joy that character created. I don't think you need to live in the shadow of Donner's Superman.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to live in the shadow of John Williams' score.
Okay. So again, I highly recommend listening to Josh Horowitz and his Happy Sad Confused podcast. It's really good. That whole interview is available out there now. Sounds cool in theory. There was a time when I would have loved to see this movie from Macquarie. Like Jamie said, phenomenal director in the past. I would have loved it more before these last two Mission movies. This is a lot of hype and stuff. You know, it could have been an amazing movie. It could have not been. Who knows? I bet that, you know, he compares it to Mission Final Reckoning, which I wasn't a huge fan of. So if, you know, we got that quality Superman, it would have been great. Personally, I love that he said this. I think that we live in a time where actors and directors and filmmakers and so many celebrities are afraid to tell these stories or say these things because fandom and media are so quick to jump on each other and jump down each other's throats and go to war. And in this case, for something that didn't even happen. So I think it's a lot of fun that he actually gave us this to think about and talk about. And I think that's awesome. And now I think also there's going to be people who are like, well, stop talking about it. You're not doing it. Just like let people breathe. I think it's a fun idea. I absolutely would have watched this movie. I can simultaneously sit here and say, I would have loved to see McHugh's Superman with Henry Cavill, while also recognizing I am hyped for James Gunn's Superman and what David Corn Sweat is doing. Like this doesn't make me any less hyped for what I've been hyped for and in seeing trailers and footage of what James Gunn has created in Superman. I think that looks awesome. I think these are two very different movies. I wish we could have both, hell, but we don't. And I appreciate that this clip exists and that Chris McQuarrie was open to even talking about that because we just live in an age where people are so buttoned up and afraid to say anything because of reactions. But that's my take on it.
I think to your point, like I think McHugh's pitch for it is definitely a good way to kind of like pull what we already had of Cavill's Superman into the Superman that we're now getting kind of in the reboot of like the tone of the hope and just kind of the modernization of it. Like it seems like he had a good approach if that was the plan at the time. It was just we kept like spinning our wheels and not getting a Man of Steel 2 in any form or fashion up off the ground. And then ultimately we're where we're at now.
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody else want to weigh in on McHugh's Superman movie that never was? It went the way of Krypton. There is a comic book crossover coming, though.
Yeah.
That is kind of surprising.
So earlier this year, Marvel and DC announced that they would be collaborating on 2 crossover one-shots, which I have a whole video on my channel about the history of the times they've crossed over. It is a massive feat to get these 2 publishers to do anything together. Like it is logistically a massive thing. It's happened a couple times over the years, but it hasn't happened for most of this 21st century, honestly. And so they finally announced what the crossover actually entails, and it is anchored by a Deadpool Batman crossover. The first issue, which is Marvel's side of it, will debut in September, and it'll be written by Zeb Wells, who wrote Amazing Spider-Man and Hellions, and also was one of the writers on Deadpool and Wolverine, so he has experience in that field. And then it has art by Greg Capullo. There's more information about the Marvel side of it because it's coming out first. It'll also feature matchups between other characters from Marvel and DC. There are other creators that include Kevin Smith, Chip Zdarsky, Kelly Thompson, Adam Kubert, Terry Dodson, Gary Hiru, and more. Kelly Thompson and Gary Hiru work on the Jeff the Landshark comic, so I'm really hoping Jeff the Landshark is involved with this in some way because I feel like there's like a million characters that Jeff could cross over with. And then we have Batman Deadpool in November, which is written by Grant Morrison with art by Dan Mora. And then there will be even more one-shots arriving in 2026. So it's crazy as a comic fan that these even exist.
What do you think brought that to be?
It like during COVID, there was kind of talk of doing another crossover of like this would help galvanize, kind of like give a boost to the comic industry, and this would draw people back to comic shops when they weren't really able to shop in them. And it was talked about for the longest time. It never really came to fruition. I don't know specifically what exactly led this one to become a reality, and specifically these two characters. But again, just the fact that they even are collaborating on it is like such a feat. They reprinted one of the previous crossovers a couple of years ago when George Perez needed medical bills and money kind of stuff. And so even just publishing that was a massive, massive logistical nightmare. So I'm just amazed that we're getting anything new from them.
That's crazy. Wow.
Jenna, remember when we were supposed to get Secret Crisis?
Yep.
Remember the Halcyon days during Doomsday Clock? And
Yeah.
I was like, I feel like that's going to happen. If anybody was going to make this like into a thing, is James over editorial now too?
James Gunn. I mean, he reads every comic, but it's not like the Feige kind of role where you have like a sitting role in the comic stand. But to Aaron's point, there was an issue of Doomsday Clock, which was kind of like a Watchmen sequel that came out a couple of years ago, and it hints at a Secret Crisis crossover where like Superman fights the Hulk. So we could maybe still see that as a comic thing, because it was supposed to happen either this year or next year was when it was dated to have happened in the main canon. But it would be crazy if that ultimately stuck the landing, because that's something that people thought was never going to happen.
I mean, it's got us talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
I recently organized all of Tony's comics, and he has a lot of Batman Punisher, and Batman Deadpool sounds way more fun, way less dark than that.
It's the wildest thing, because I've seen so many tweets from like comic fans first and foremost being like, why is it these two characters? This doesn't make any sense. But I feel like for like the larger audience, like it totally makes sense to put the two of them together. And again, it's just for 2 one-shots. Like it's not some massive 12-issue thing. It's not going to really have lasting ramifications on either universe. Like it makes sense to put the two of them together, especially when the last time around that they did any of this, Deadpool was not the character that he is now.
I'm check it out.
Hell yeah.
All right, our last topic of the day here, because we are running out of time here. Let's talk about this Memorial Day box office, shall we?
Yeah.
A lot of people went to the movies this weekend. It is, I believe, the biggest Memorial Day box office total ever. Lilo and Stitch is very unsurprisingly a massive hit. It beat Top Gun Maverick for the biggest Memorial Day weekend of all time. It opened to 145 million over the weekend and 183 through the holiday, according to Rotten Tomatoes here. Top Gun Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning made 77 million over the weekend, which is pretty damn good. And then Final Destination Bloodlines was in third place with, what was it? Let's see, third place goes another film, 19 million through Sunday, estimated 24.5 million through the holiday. A lot of people were spending money at the box office. I believe, what was the popcorn number?
2.9 million kilograms, according to Regal, which like people were like, kilograms is a very wild unit of measurement for popcorn.
I think that should be the new measurement for box office success is kilograms of popcorn, because that will never be victim to inflation unless they downsize the popcorn buckets, but charge the same. Then, that could be what happens. But I think that's a fair metric. Did anybody see Lilo and Stitch?
No.
Me either.
It's interesting because, like, I've seen some posts about, like, why are people taking their families to see this dumb movie when it's got bad reviews? And I think it was BJ Colangelo, our friend from Slash Film, who was like, what else are they going to take their kids to? There's nothing else to take them to. Like, it's a holiday weekend, and kids, I'm sure kids love it. I'm sure kids are eating that up. And obviously we can't speak to it because none of us saw it. Although I'll use this time to plug that today at 3:00 on my channel, I'm dropping a retro review of the animated, because everyone freaked out last week when I said I didn't like it. So I rewatched it. Do I still dislike it? Find out at 3:00 today.
I will say, to your point about the kids, there were a surprising number of children in my like Final Reckoning screening at like 7 p.m. on a Friday night. Like there were a surprising number of families. There was an entire row of like teenage and like elementary school kids behind me. So, but I agree with you. Like so many more of them probably saw Lilo and Stitch.
I mean,
wow, you typed that fast, BD. That's impressive.
Yeah, I want to hear Aaron's thoughts.
Oh man, dear God, the bit is going to continue until we get a movie ourselves. I'm not completely surprised. I was talking to Jenna where I was like, I think I'll make $1 gajillion just because. I still think my Zoomer theory holds strong, and come on back in the fall for Zootopia 2 for what will be the final nail in that coffin. My poor like back aching millennials. If you haven't taken your Metamucil today, what are you doing? Have you drank any water? So there's that of it as well. I also BJ did a lot of like digging for like that piece on Slash Film about stuff. Joe Deckelmeyer flies in and does a superhero
For the audio
pose.
listener, I'm not even going to explain the joke. You should just watch our live show.
Maud
BD is having a lot of
flies
fun
in
with the
with
Chirons right
wings.
now.
I don't want Sony to have us. Sony will ruin us.
I can't even think any funny other jokes.
Sorry,
I wanna
Aaron.
do it. Everyone but us.
Yeah.
It's just
It's
Noble
Charles
walking through
Gimbaldi.
the backyard for 2 hours. And Chris talking about how you prepare an onion to perfection. And
The
Tony
Phase
making
Hero
pasta.
universe. You heard it here first.
Oh my God. Jeez Louise. But yeah, it's good. Recast Danny Brown. Dang.
No.
Dang. Wow. Sony's
We have
Universe
fun.
Phase Hero characters. The
BD
bit
is just
better.
only communicating through the lower thirds now. He is just not even speaking for the rest of the show.
You bring up Madam Web one time, and this is what the show turns into, you know?
Yep.
Ooh, we're chaotic today.
It's great. This is great.
I love it.
All right, everybody. I believe that is our show. We're over an hour here. Thank you so much for hanging out. Aaron, any last words for today's episode of Phase Hero?
Oh God! After I unmute myself and wipe my eyes again for the second time this episode, it's at Summer Lake Hornet all over the place. Oh, get out of here, Jim! Get out of here! Oh God! It's How to Watch Free TV. Go read BJ's post on Slash Film about Lilo and Stitch. Go watch all the crazy stuff. Brandon is still posting about Epic Universe. He's still posting. He's showing up in Brandy Rhodes' like Instagram stories. Like, go do a little bit of that. And yeah, thank you guys for watching.
It's at Hey It's Jenna Lynn on social media. As always, go read some comics and go subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is at Go Read Some Comics. Over 10,000 people now have subscribed. I hit 10K yesterday. Woo! And a lot of that is due to the response for my Silver Age video that I kind of teed up on last week's episode. The response to it has been overwhelming. It has exceeded my expectations. It's kind of crazy trying to make a video to follow up on that because like so many people have watched it and so many people have loved it. I also have to make an addition to Jamie's slogan about phones in movie theaters. Turn off your Apple Watch when you're in a movie theater. There were a dozen people in my Final Reckoning showing who all had Apple Watches and they weren't even checking them. It was just they would like flinch and it would turn on. The guy next to me locked in half a dozen different times and every single time his Apple Watch turned on and it drove me crazy. So
that shit has theater mode. That's theater mode. Put it on theater mode.
I don't even know because I've never like really even dealt with one, but I was like, why can't people turn these off? No one was even checking it. It was just creating light for no reason. It drove me so crazy.
I saw a reel the other day from the Pointer Brothers. That was like just when you invite your friend over to watch a movie and they're on their phone the whole time and then they don't appreciate the movie. Mm-hmm. And then the one guy was like, we are not friends anymore. And I sent it to Jamie and I was like, did you write this script?
I didn't watch it because I was watching a movie and I couldn't. I opened it and I was like, I'll have to watch this later and I forgot about it. So you did send it to the right person. Speaking of, I have a new YouTube channel at Jamie Jarek Reviews is the handle. My first video went up, my Mission Impossible review today at 3:00, my Lilo and Stitch retro review. And then I'm doing my first live stream from it Thursday at 2:30 Pacific. My friend Nicole had watched Andor before Rogue One. She did it out of order, and so we're gonna be talking about that experience for her, what it was like to watch Rogue One after. So yeah, please subscribe. It's hard getting YouTube stuff out there. I have more respect for all my fellow hosts here. It's a lot of work.
Jamie left me on red. She hates BD confirmed.
As if you don't leave all of us on red.
I'm a great texter. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I'm such a good texter. All right, y'all. Before I get called out too strongly, we gotta wrap this one up. Thank you so much for hanging with us. Go to facehero.com to check out the new summer merch. You can wear a tank top at the pool and all that stuff, unless you're in Alaska, where I think it's cold. And we do have listeners in Alaska. We have listeners everywhere. I think we have listeners in Australia where it's wintertime now, so you can still get a hoodie. And also, my main character t-shirts are. I got to figure out where to sell them, but they're on the YouTube channel. And then it sends you to the Phase Hero site, but they're not like on facehero.com because they're not Phase Hero merch. Anyway, new merch, go buy it. Thanks so much. Please subscribe to the channel. Give the video a thumbs up. Play our show for your dad. Play it for your cat. Have yourself a lovely rest of your week and weekend. And we will see you on Wednesday for another episode of Facehero.
You